Hi there. If you're new, welcome. If you're not, you know I don't have an accent. So today we're going to be reading some more Am I the Assholes? And Am I the Assholes? And I chose two that kind of really jumped out at me. Many of you might not know this, but I have adopted two children. Obviously, I do not post them online for obvious reasons. So the first one is... Come on, glasses. My hair is drying, that's why I have this on my head. Am I the asshole for telling my sister she is a hypocrite to judge us for not adopting when she only adopted as a last resort? I, 25 male, am married to my amazing wife ever, 27 female. We are unable to have children together naturally. Our fertility doctor has said our best chance at having biological children is IVF, and now we are working our butts off to make that happen for us. My family is aware of our struggles to conceive, and they know we have decided to pursue IVF. My sister Jane, 43 female, has been vocally outspoken about her disgust at our decision. She told us that ever being adopted... when he said, I'm married to my amazing wife ever, I thought he was like, oh my god, I have the best wife ever. No, her name is Ever. Okay. She told us that ever being adopted, she should be thinking of adoption before any form of fertility treatment. She has ranted about how IVF is unethical and how we are going to fuck up our kids for life. She is focused most on her eerie on Ever, and I have stepped in each and every time and told her to knock it off and keep her opinions to herself. I'm just saying, if anybody's sister talked to me that way... She questions Ever every step of the way about rejecting adoption and how her family must feel to know she would have rather had her own bio baby instead of just adopting when they adopted her. Ever opened up to Jan, which is something I did not wow, I cannot read today. Which is something I did not think she needed to do, and I told Ever as much as she wanted to. She told Jane that adoption is not always an ethical option, and while it can be such an amazing thing and bring so much joy to everyone, adoption is nowhere close to perfect. She also opened up about feeling on the outside her whole life because she looked like a nobody, and her family would always pass comments about her siblings, bio kids of her parents, looked like family members, and comments were often about how made about twins, meaning lookalikes. How as the only kid who has never got that and the kid who is different and weighs on you. She said her parents and siblings loved her as their own as she loved them, but she also knew the extended family saw her as the adopted child. As the family, that wasn't really theirs. She mentioned how both her birth parents rejected her when she reached out for contact, and how it all made her long for a genetic connection to the family she creates. She told Jane that she can have that, it will just cost, but she could not in good conscience adopt when it would be her last choice. Jane called her names and told her she was disgusting and she was ashamed of herself for viewing her this way. Whoa, this is a heavy one. Ever was so upset after talking to Jane. Then Jane called me a few days later and told me I should talk to Ever about how she needs to fix her thinking. I hated hearing my sister say that about my wife, and I told Jane that she was the biggest hypocrite going because she only adopted her kids as a last resort after being told again and again that IVF and IUI I have an IUL, not an IUI, would not work for her, and that surrogacy, oh my gosh, wouldn't either. I told her we never judged her for how she started her family, but I did judge her for having gone through all that and being so hard on Ever. I told her it was disgusting and she should be doing better. Jane told me I had no business throwing her infertility in her face, and she told me to go fuck myself. Am I the asshole? Not at all. As somebody who's infertile myself, and somebody who has adopted, just because you're infertile does not mean that you want to adopt. Because there's a lot more that goes into adoption than people realize. It's not, I want a baby, here's my baby. No. There's trauma training, And you have to 110% be there for your child. You know, more so, honestly, in my opinion, more so than a biological child, because there's gonna be times where that child is unsure of themselves. There's gonna be times where, you know, it's just very, it's a very long but worth it process, but it is not for everyone. So to force somebody into that mindset, oh, you should just adopt. I adopted, you should adopt. No. Adoption is not for everybody, you know, just like having biological children isn't for everybody. You know, people, there's different ways, you know, if you want to expand your family. And, you know, Ever the girl in the story, being adopted herself, she's lived through that life, and she doesn't want to do that. She wants to make sure that she has that biological connection to her child. Then that's her choice. You know what I'm saying? Because to her, growing up, it sounds like she was kind of outcasted, which totally is not okay either, you know? So let's see what some of the comments have to say, because I know adoption can be a very touchy subject. Not the asshole. Ever needs to block Jane. I would suggest you do too, but your wife at least needs to be protected. Jane is heartless. She has a lot of nerve, disregarding Ever's lived experience, exactly, being an adoptee, and needs to stay in her lane. Not the asshole. For starters, it's none of Jane's business how you decide to have kids. Also, while she's right about adoption having the potential to be great, that's not always what happens. It could be a very traumatic experience for multiple parties, including the children. Your wife is proof of that. Exactly. And also, another thing people don't tell you about adoption is it's not like I'm going to adopt and within a month I'm going to have a child. It can take years and years to be able to adopt, even through the foster care system. You know what I'm saying? So, while Jane has this, oh, you want a family? Bada bing, bada boom, adopt. Just because it was easy for you, assuming so, it's not going to be that way, you know, for the children or the parents, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not, it's just an icky situation, you know. That was a heavy one. You know, because as, like, sorry to, like, get off topic, but, like, as a parent of 2 adopted children, you just want what's in the best interest of the child, and you will give anything for the best interest of that child, you know. And so I know personally in my life, people assume that I adopted because I'm infertile. That's not it at all. Adoption was always on the table. We just didn't think it would happen so soon, you know. So we were foster parents prior. So, like, you know, sometimes things just happen. You try your best to make them happy in any way you can. So the next one is a little more lighthearted, I guess, as lighthearted as it could be on Am I the Asshole? Am I the asshole for not banning strawberries from my wedding cake? I'm getting married next year. I love strawberries, and I want some on my wedding cake. My plan is to have a 4-tier cake where the bottom 2 are completely separate entities with different flavors, and the top 2 are lemon strawberry. My mother is mildly allergic to strawberries. We will have a headache and a mild rash if she eats one, but is fine with eating food that has touched strawberries. She absolutely what is that word? I'm going to say insisted. I'm going to say rejected instead. I'm reading the whole sentence. She absolutely rejected my plan to include strawberries in my wedding cake and continuously makes passive-aggressive comments about how wedding RSVPs should include a section for the guest allergies, and she would never serve something a guest could not eat. I explained to her that she is more than free to eat the other 2 cakes. They will be entirely strawberry free, aren't even touching the top of the cake, and more importantly, my mother has diabetes and won't be eating more than a small slice to begin with. My fiance agrees she's being selfish. I'm making this post because I was telling my dad about the issue, and she walked in and added, "That is my only daughter's one and only wedding. I want to be able to eat every part of the cake." What? Haven't been able to close my mouth since from the pure shock. I mean, it's my only wedding, and she sees nothing wrong with saying something so insanely out of pocket. Well, my dad agrees with her, so maybe I'm taking this too seriously and I could skip strawberries for a day. I really don't want to, but I also don't want to make this a big drama. My mom is used to getting whatever she wants, and I'm used to my dad siding with her, but I really thought my goddamn wedding would be the exception. And it should be, because it's not like the whole cake. Like, if your mom was deadly allergic to strawberries, I'd be like, okay, yeah, that's kind of an issue. But, like, first of all, she has diabetes. So she's not gonna be eating a lot of the cake, as you mentioned. And it's your wedding day. If strawberries is your favorite fruit, why can't you have strawberries on your darn cake? You know? Let's see what the comments say. And it's her own mom, too. You would think her own mom would cut her some slack. Oh, apparently she's paying for a majority of the wedding, too. When other people fund your wedding, they often think they are entitled to more control of the event. Not sure why you didn't include a tidbit of info above in the main post. You're not the asshole, but a different solution might be having a special bride's cake with lemon strawberry that is separate from the main confection. Might be a little more acceptable to her. I don't know. In my opinion, it's just one tier of cake. She shouldn't have to, she shouldn't have to change anything about her cake. Like, that's her cake. Why does she have to change anything about her cake? The whole cake isn't even strawberry. Well, somebody goes, and that's another reason why people just elope, so they could skip the little dramas like this. Reminds me of my wedding, actually. But that's a whole other story time. But yeah, that's all I have for today. With that being said, puff, puff,